Hey guys, Lewis here. Welcome to Nerd Effect Andromeda, where I pretty much spend the whole video reading up on Codex entries that I've collected and nerding out about various Mass Effect lore. Now, a common thing for me throughout the Mass Effect trilogy was exploring as much as possible, uncovering as much Codex information as I possibly could, because I just loved learning about the universe. It sounds so nerdy, yes, I know, but what can you expect? But I wanted to make this little mini-series so I could keep the Codex readings separate from the main series. Whereas the main series is going to be more focused on the playthrough and the story, the Codex series, or Nerd Effect here, will be more about expanding the general information that I already know, as well as learning new things. And maybe you'll learn something new as well. Or maybe you'll nerd alongside me, or just go, such a nerd. But regardless, I want to keep it separate from the main series, so again, just so I could have some focus. Now, the first few episodes of Nerd Effect will actually be spread out across all of these categories right here. So you have the Andromeda Initiative, Arc Species, Andromeda Species, and so on. So for the sake of the first few episodes, I'm just going to read through everything in the Andromeda Initiative, the next episode being Arc Species, and you get the idea. But later on, as we uncover more Codex for various different categories, I'll lump those together in their own episodes. But without further ado, let's get started with the Andromeda Initiative. The initiative was built by the efforts of thousands who devoted years of time and countless research to reach the Andromeda Galaxy. These are the people, places, organizations that make the Pathfinders missions possible. Let's start off with the known associates. Dossiers on the Pathfinder, Ryder's friends, allies, and contacts across the Helios cluster. Currently, Sarah Ryder. Born your elder twin on the Citadel space station in 2163, Sarah grew up surrounded by a multitude of alien species, cultures, and histories. In her own orientation interviews, she claims this sparked her fascination with science. With informal training aided by Alec Kreider's N7 background, Sarah joined the System Alliance military, which was continuing its search for Prothean technology after successful discoveries on Mars. Initially assigned to peacekeeping duties, Sarah was approached to serve a support role for these Prothean researchers. She often describes the thrill of serving with scientists like Matthias Sylvia on the brink of the next great discovery. When Alec Kreider was dishonorably discharged due to his AI research, internal memos showed that this also effectively ended Sarah's career, but Andromeda presented the kind of scientific frontiers she had sought all her life. On arrival in Andromeda, Sarah's cryopod was damaged and her revival process interrupted. Dr. Lexi Tepero advised keeping her in a medically induced coma to allow her to awaken naturally. So right there, we already learned that Alec was discharged from the N7 dishonorably due to AI research. Now, for all of you who don't know, AI research, full-on AI research anyway, was frowned upon in the Milky Way galaxy after the Quarian and Geth incident, where the Geth just gestalted into a single intelligence, or a hive mind anyway, where they effectively drove the Quarians from their homeworld. So most of the Milky Ways feared a full-on AI, and that's why they subsist on VI rather than AI. I kind of wonder how they got Alec Kreider into this. Well, I'm sure we'll be able to learn more about him in just a little bit. Let's move on to Sam. Sam is officially designated as Simulated Adaptive Matrix. I am an artificial intelligence that acts as a coordinating element between the Pathfinder Alec Kreider and the rest of his team. My quantum processing power is used to conduct on-the-spot scans of alien worlds, assist in scientific studies or tactical situations, and monitor the team's weapons and equipment. I am physically located on Arc Hyperion in secure server banks collectively known as SamNode. While my primary connection is to Alec Kreider via a neural implant, I effectively serve as a mission computer for all team members during Pathfinder operations. I also collate and analyze data from numerous sources and compile it for later study. I am tasked with offering and updating the Pathfinder team Codex based on available information and discoveries as they are made. Again, Sam is a full-on AI. Now, I wonder how Alec just spent enough time developing Sam. Well, I'm sure we'll be able to find out once we read up on his dossier. Alec Ryder was born on Earth in 2129. Alec Ryder says his love of new frontiers was fostered by a childhood in the Sierra Nevadas. According to his service record, he joined the Alliance military and was eventually assigned to John Grissom's historic expedition through the Charon Relay. His experience made him a candidate for what would later be known as N7 training back on Earth, where he met Dr. Ellen Harlow. After their marriage, Alec continued military service, most notably on Shanxi in the First Contact War against the Turians. Assigned as a military attaché to the Citadel in the late 2160s, Alec became interested in artificial intelligence, a means of human advancement. His pursuit of this illegal technology led to a dishonorable discharge from the Alliance military. Contacted by the Andromeda Initiative, Alec found a sponsor to help complete his work. I am the product of that research, assisting not only the initiative, but Alec's new role as a Pathfinder. So no doubt after humanity was exposed to the rest of the galaxy, he learned of the possibilities of artificial intelligence were even greater than they were. And the Alliance, assumedly wanted to play nice with the aliens, discharged him because of this illegal activity. Alright, Cora Harper. Lieutenant Cora Harper, service number 6002AC1762, is a human biotic and formerly an officer in the System Alliance military. Her screening interviews state she was raised in poverty on an independent cargo freighter, joining the Alliance at 18 to obtain training for her powerful biotic abilities. However, Cora claims her superiors saw her talent as a liability, supported by the test scores showing her ability spikes at abnormally high levels. She was transferred via the Citadel Council's Valkyrie program, a subset of their interspecies military integration plan, and placed with the Asari Commando Unit, Taleen's Daughters. Though the activities of Asari Huntresses are typically sealed for 5,000 years, Cora has freely shared her experience on the record, peacekeeping, counter-terrorism, and hunting fugitives. When she left Taleen's Daughters for the Andromeda Initiative, no reason is recorded, Cora's Huntress's training and biotic capability made her a candidate for Alec Kreider's second-in-command, and if warranted, his successor as Pathfinder. Well, I mean, Asari commandos are pretty well known for their special operations, if I recall correctly. Liam Costa is a human security and crisis response specialist with civilian tactical training. His screening interview states that he was born on Earth, but his parents specialized in interplanetary policy law, and the family moved frequently. Their primary residence was split between London and the Citadel. Liam entered university for engineering, but left to train for law enforcement. Though initially driven, he was only briefly stationed as a police officer, and described leaving as a necessary move for all concerned. He transitioned to the multi-species effort of heavy urban search and crisis response. If Liam was disillusioned in law enforcement, service records show that he was not merit in the crisis response. The human contingent, Heavy Urban Search Terrain 1, reported that Liam performed exceptionally in all conditions. Liam says that this is when he learned of the Andromeda Initiative, after meeting former Alliance personnel at a post-hostility relief action. His multidisciplinary skills set him apart, and Liam was handpicked by Alec Kreider to support the Pathfinder team. William did mention that he was part of a crisis response, so it's good to know a little more about him, and maybe we'll be able to tailor our responses to the situations with him in the future. Dr. Ellen Ryder. Ellen Ryder, formerly Harlow, was a pioneering designer of biotic implants. In 2150s, she was a leading biomedical and cybernetic researcher at UFRJ in Rio de Janeiro. When human biotics began to emerge as a scientific field, Ellen found possible applications for her work in neural-integrated wetware. Her early designs for biotic implants formed the framework for the later L2 and L3 models. Ellen met Alec Kreider when he was posted to Rio for ICT N7 training before the First Contact War. She eventually joined Alec on the Citadel when he was posted there as a military attaché and gave birth to fraternal twins on the station in 2163. Unfortunately, Element 0, the catalyst for biotic mutations, is a hazardous material, poorly understood in the early years of human biotics. After repeat accidental exposures, Ellen eventually developed the terminal neurodegenerative disorder, later known as AEND. In her final years, Ellen Ryder built what would later become the Pathfinders implants, designed to sync with the AI partner Alec Kreider was developing. Ellen died before my creation was fully realized. Alright, so that's more information on Alec's wife and our mother for our character. Yeah, there was a lot of experimentation with biotics when it was first discovered, and actually, if I recall, Cerberus had actually orchestrated several intentional exposures to many children to create as many biotics possible for their experiments. So that's everything we know so far about the known associates. Let's take a look at the initiative itself. The history, organization, and persons of note in the Andromeda Initiative. Ooh, this is going to be a lot to go through the first few episodes. The Andromeda Initiative. Brainchild of the visionary billionaire Garson, the Andromeda Initiative was conceived as Garson's personal dream and desire to prove humanity's capabilities beyond the military power demonstrated in the First Contact War. Garson officially began planning the initiative in 2172, announcing her ambitious goals of launching a pioneering colonization effort to Andromeda within 20 years. Internal reports showed that the struggles that the early initiative faced, however, Garson's personal stake and enthusiasm sustained the initiative until the early 2180s after a sudden influx of investment and a new marketing strategy. Interest in the initiative grew afresh. Construction of the arcs was completed rapidly thereafter, and the Andromeda Initiative officially launched in 2185. The initiative mission statement is to bridge Andromeda and the Milky Way, create a sustainable, inclusive civilization, and push scientific development forward by centuries. In official literature, Garson characterizes the initiative as continuing the search for humanity's next horizon. I wonder if this sudden influx of investment also came from Cerberus and, by proxy, the Elusive Man. More things to think about. The Andromeda Initiative on Golden Worlds. Golden Worlds are planets in Andromeda's Helios clusters that are either the strongest possible candidates for settlement or whose resources could bolster the initiative's chances at long-term survival. Based on survey data and long-term projections, some are believed to be garden worlds capable of supporting life. Others are mineral treasure troves that could supply a fledgling colonies with vital resources. These worlds were designated habitats 1 through 7. While not generally used in planetary surveying, the term Golden Worlds was coined by Andromeda's Initiative's marketing team and has stuck ever since. The Initiative's early settlement strategy revolves around these Golden Worlds. The arcs cannot sustain a population in stasis indefinitely, and the Nexus requires vast quantities of refined ore, helium-free, water, ice, and element 0. On the ground, Pathfinder surveys are essential to confirming quickly that the Golden Worlds are suitable for outposts. Let's take a look at the quick glossary of terms here. A brief refresher of terms used in the Andromeda Initiative literature. Ammunition block, a solid block of metal loaded into a gun. Sand-sized particles are sheared off by the gun's targeting mechanism and then fired as projectiles, allowing a single block to give ammunition for multiple combat encounters. That's right, with the help of the Mass Effect technologies, it's accelerating these sand-sized particles as lethal projectiles. The Citadel, a massive ancient space station in the Milky Way that acted as the political and cultural center of the galaxy. Comm buoy, a communications buoy that relays data through corridors of mass-free space. The Extranet, a publicly accessible information network across the Milky Way, akin to the planetary internet on a galactic scale. Such a network is slowly being developed in Andromeda while communications are established. Hardsuit, an exploration/combat suit usually armored with titanium or ceramic plating and equipped with kinetic barriers to protect against hostile fire and environmental hazards. Heat sink, also known as a thermoclip, a detachable coolant-filled sink used to prevent weapons from overheating. They must be ejected and replaced regularly during firefights. Flash forging, immediately manufacture of a usually short-lived object from raw materials using an Omni tool or other fabrication devices. Omni blades are typically flash forged. I'm assuming that they used Omni gel for it, although we kinda didn't see the use of Omni gel after the first game. FTL is faster than light travel, obviously. Kinetic barrier, also known as a shield, used to repel fast-moving projectiles, hence kinetic, but does not defend against melee attacks. High-gravity kinetic barriers protect starships from debris as well. Mass accelerator, a railgun that lowers the mass of projectiles and then hurls it at relativistic speeds. Sufficient acceleration allows even tiny projectiles to impact with tremendous force. Mass relay, a network of mass transit facilities across the Milky Way used to immediately transport starships hundreds of light years. No such network exists in the Andromeda, however. Okay, so judging by that, the Reapers don't have a presence in Andromeda as far as we know. Metagel, a sterile medicinal salve that bonds to the flesh, immediately sealing injuries against bleeding or infection. It can be removed with small ultrasound pulse. Manufacturing, small-scale manufacturing of 3D objects, often on the battlefield or for emergency repairs. Omnigel, a compound of alloy ceramic and other materials suspended in a semi-molten state, used with an Omni tool to build small 3D objects almost instantly, or in our case, sealing up our visor in case it broke. OSD, optical storage disk, can contain the data or the blueprints and programming used in manufacturing. QEZ, quantum entanglement communications, instantaneous communications using two particles that are linked at a quantum level. Quite the read so far. The Andromeda Initiative, more on G and Garson. Let's learn more about the founder. Founder of the Andromeda Initiative, Garson was one of humanity's wealthiest and most eccentric entrepreneurs in the Milky Way. Her business interests were wide-ranging as she made her fortune from investments in a myriad of technology-related fields. Always a maverick, it was her vision of traveling to a new galaxy that set the Andromeda Initiative in motion. Ignoring skeptics and naysayers, Garson spent vast sums of money building or acquiring the necessary technology and ships to make the long voyage possible. It was a private venture, entirely funded by Garson so as to remain free from any government oversight. In 2185, Garson began the long journey to Andromeda aboard the support hub Nexus. In a speech given on the eve of the departure, she remarked on the collective knowledge and history represented by the arcs. We carry all these things like the honed tools of an artist to our great empty canvas. To Andromeda, we go to paint our masterpiece. Garson is slated to serve as the overall leader of the initiative upon arrival. Well, officially it says that the initiative was funded by her and maybe some benefactors, but mostly her, to avoid oversight. I still think the elusive man is somehow involved. And lastly, for the initiative, the Andromeda Initiative launch. Intergalactic travel was a topic of extranet discussion in the Milky Way for centuries. Several Asari and Solarian-led expeditions were proposed over the years, but petered out due to the lack of interest, insufficient funds, or engineering hurdles. The Andromeda Initiative use of AI like myself allowed many of the technical problems to be solved, but invited the disapproval from the Turian hierarchy and the System Alliance. Building a fleet of dreadnought-sized arcs with private funding required delicate negotiations with the Citadel Council, and the advanced technology essential to survival in Andromeda was often acquired by unorthodox means. Official initiative records show that the Nexus departed first in 2185, escorted by a small squadron of fighters for protection, followed by 4 arcs that comprised the initial launch wave. Additional vessels were in development, including a Quarian-led ship accommodating multiple species, but construction was slow due to their diverse requirements, and the second launch wave was delayed. Initiative observers remain optimistic. Oh, does that mean we don't get any Quarian teammates? Oh, I like the Quarians. Well, again, this only throws more, obviously the Council and the various other alien races weren't too sure about having a AI being in control of multiple dreadnought-sized arcs, and also, in addition to this, most of this being privately funded. Alright, lastly, the Pathfinders. Details on the missions and personnel files of all Pathfinders. Oh, good, there's only one. I was starting to feel a little ragged after reading so much. I'm gonna have to prep for these Codex readings a lot better in the future. Anyway, the role of a Pathfinder. Pathfinders are the tip of the spear for exploring new worlds. While planetary surveying is typically a long-term, multiple-team process, the initiative found an alternative. Thanks to Alec Kreider's AI research, an individual equipped with the best training and technology available, and an AI partner that can run complex studies in seconds and 100 test simulations a minute. With AI support, Pathfinders can determine within hours whether a planet is suitable for habitation and direct the Nexus as to what colonist block stands the best chance there. Pathfinders are trained to improve the viability of potential planets, initiate first contact with unknown species, find suitable outpost sites, and handle any external threats before the first colonist touches soil. The presence of a Pathfinder is a reassurance that a planet can be settled safely and with high expectation of success. Alright, good to know. So, that is pretty much everything we know so far about the Andromeda Initiative, and again, I should have prepped myself a little bit more for a lengthy reading, but I wanted to just kind of gloss over it before actually reading into it, but I didn't get a chance to see how many entries there were actually. I'm sure it'll be less and less as we go on, but overall, I learned a little bit more about the Andromeda Initiative and a little bit more of what Mass Effect Andromeda has to offer to add on to what we already know for the Mass Effect universe. Anyway, that's going to be it for this first episode of Nerd Effect. I hope you guys enjoyed the reading, and I hope you guys learned something as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.